Hey, First Baptist, hope you're doing well. I want to follow up a little bit from this past Sunday in Acts 2:42 through 47. We saw this amazing picture of the early church and just living life together, this new spirit-created community, following Christ on mission together, celebrating Him, learning Him. Really cool. And I think really helpful right now. Our society is splintering into all sorts of factions and tribes over all sorts of issues, and we have a chance to see the bigger picture. I think this was the church in the first century. This is the church now, and so we're living for and shooting for something that's bigger and more important. But I did want to talk about some of the practical side of this for a minute. Let me just say first, again, like the foundation is spiritual, right? I'm in Christ, you're in Christ, therefore we're united to each other. We're reconciled to God, therefore reconciled to each other. We're adopted as God's children, therefore we're now brothers and sisters. So that's the foundation, that's the key. And there's other spiritual aspects to that foundation, like the fact that God knows me fully with all my faults and my sins, and so that allows me and gives me freedom to not be terrified of being known by other people, right? So those are some of the spiritual foundations of this, but I want to talk about some of the practical helps for this. So let me just give you 6 thoughts. It was 5, I changed it to 6, but 6 thoughts on this real briefly. Number 1 would be randomly reach out, right? When you think of somebody, reach out to them, make contact with them. When you're, think of, you're in the store and you think of a friend who lives kind of on the way home, maybe reach out and say, hey, do you need anything? When you drive by somebody's house or work, maybe think of them and text them, or you pray for somebody in the morning, text them later and say, hey, I prayed for you. You see somebody's post on Facebook, maybe you can comment on it if it's helpful. You gotta be careful with that, and just find ways to randomly reach out to each other. I think those random reaching out, that they can supplement and even expand and deepen the times when we're in person. They enhance that connection. So, randomly reach out. Number 2, plan for time together. This is kind of a different thing, but most of us are busy, therefore we have to plan. Like, we got to carve it out and say, this day I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to setting aside this time for the sake of my church family. And maybe it's even planning on a weekly basis. Like, every week at this time, I'm going to have someone over for a meal. Hospitality, right? Or every week at this time I'm going to have, whatever it is, planning it into your schedule, being intentional about it. That's not all there is. Community life together is not like just a weekly check-in or meeting or something like that, but part of it has to be intentional and planned. So randomly reach out, plan it into your schedule. Number 3 would be, know you're going to have to focus your relationships. We're a small church, but still you can't know everybody in the same way. You can't live life together with everybody to the same degree. And so you're going to have to focus that. So some of that might be geography. We've really found that that's helpful. We tend to cross paths and reach out to people that are living the nearest to us, right? It might be place in life, just because in the busyness of life, you end up, crossing path, doing the same things as those people. It might be your community group. Whatever it is, you're going to have to focus your relationships some. That doesn't mean you neglect other people or forget about them, but just in this deeper living life on life, you're going to have to focus it. So that's number 3. Number 4, invite others into your normal life. Whatever you're doing, right? So if you're going to the grocery store, maybe invite somebody along. Say, hey, I'm going shopping here. You want to come? Especially somebody that maybe has more time on their hands. Or just into a meal, right? We all have to eat anyways. Why not do it with a fellow church member that you can encourage each other, right? It could be all sorts of things. I know some ladies that walk a lot together, right? Because they're wanting to exercise and get outside, and well, why not do it together? Let's invite each other into normal life, right? That helps both in terms of our busyness, but it also helps because you get to see me in real life, to where you can see a real example of what it looks like to follow Christ, and then you could speak to places where maybe I could learn and I could grow, or where there might be shortcomings, right? So invite people to live normal life with you, daily life. Number 5 would be go on mission together. Go on mission together. So if you're reaching out to a neighbor, maybe invite another church member into that with you, right? So if you're having a neighbor over for a meal, invite another church member over with you. Or, if you're looking to, maybe do play dates with a mom from your kid's school, and you maybe invite another mom and her kid along, or whatever it might be, where you're trying to reach out to unbelievers, find ways to also include other believers in that can join you in that can be a community witness to those non-Christians. So number 6 is this: consider this life-on-life community in your decisions, okay? So I remember reading an article where the guy suggested if you're moving to a new location, maybe a new apartment, new house, think about, strongly consider moving to within walking distance of another church member, right? What we've discovered, I think most of us, that the closer you live to somebody, the more you're probably going to interact with them. The more it will just happen where you live life together following Christ. So I think this comes into things like your jobs as well. If I'm looking at promotion and I know it's going to be 70 hours a week, every week, that might not be the priority. The priority might be, hey, you know what? I'm called to live life with my fellow believers, and it just will be impossible if I take this promotion. And so there are other decisions we could talk about, but I think those are just illustrative of the idea of taking this idea of life together and God's design for the church into consideration when it comes to our decision making. So that's 6 things, okay? Randomly reach out, make plans, plan it into your schedule. Number 3, know you're going to have to focus your relationships. Number 4, invite people into your daily life. Number 5, go on mission together. And number 6, consider it when you are planning and making life decisions. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, we're just starting a conversation, and we're all learning how to do this together. But I think we have an opportunity, as God's Spirit helps us, to more and more live out God's design for His church. Love you guys. Have a good one.